Not too many phones, and I'm not sure that his phone will get through, but he's out there right now and probably having a good time. So wish him the very best of luck and look forward to him getting back next week to join us on the air. Okay. Now, another concept, let me give you an example. We're talking a little bit about Rush the Fly, and the classic example that I saw this weekend was we get there on Friday afternoon, and the air is just coming in straight in. It's blowing about 15, 18 out of the west, and everybody is just, absolutely elated. And a few of the senior pilots grab their gear, lay out, and throw everything up, and next thing you know, quite a few guys are racing to get into the air. Well, some of the newer pilots had to kind of stand on the ground and wait until the conditions got a little bit lighter. And that happened just about 10 minutes before sunset. And finally, when one of the newer pilots did take off, the air was just dying as the last pilot in the sky was landing when this guy took off, and it had turned slightly north. And he made this newer pilot made his first turn to the south going downwind. And as he launched, I noted that the tide was slapping up against the rocks in the cliff down below. And he flew about 100 yards and landed downwind in a pile of rocks and fell. And when he fell, his glider dropped completely into the surf, and consequently he had a mess on his hands, and he was lucky that he wasn't seriously hurt. But he came back in the dark with a totally sand and salt water in his glider, tied up in numerous knots and line overs, and that kind of ruined his whole Friday evening and Saturday daytime because he didn't do any flying. He kind of hurt his ankle and sprained his wrist, and his glider was too wet to fly. So that 10-second of flying cost him the whole weekend of actually having a good time with everybody else. So again, this rush to fly sometimes can get us in real deep trouble. Looks like we have a caller online, and this guy is somebody that's very familiar to the show. It's Murray. And Murray, are you there with us?
I am indeed, yes.
How nice of you to call, man. How are things going in your area of the world?
Oh, been having a really interesting few days. Made the headlines on a couple of the papers.
Well, tell us about this. It sounds exciting. What's going on?
Well, fortunately not exciting. It was very calm, very relaxed and all the rest of it. The club barbecue for the General Aviation Flying Club was held on Saturday. And quite often at the weekends, particularly when it's a public holiday here, air traffic control is actually closed if there's no commercial flights in.
Right.
So I was up at a site about 10 miles northwest of Dundee, Little Ballow, and even though air traffic control was closed, I had my radio on the local frequency as normal. And we had one of our part-time instructors who is shortly to leave the Royal Air Force and become a full-time instructor, was flying an aerobatic club aircraft. It's not a commercial one, it's not like a Cessna. This is a Tipsy Nipper, which most people will never have heard of.
Right.
But you hand start the prop, but it's fully aerobatic.
Okay.
So he was about 3,000 feet above the hill and just headed a wee bit off, and then suddenly radio call. So I kept quiet for about 20 seconds in case there was a more, shall we say, professional general aviation pilot online. There was no one else online. Engine failure. So the long and the short of it was immediate landing on the Paraglider, radio on one side, passing on the MayDay, mobile phone on the other side, speaking to the flying club, and the chap, by the time we got down to where he was and the rescue services arrived, he'd sort of dug his way out of the aircraft, which was upside down in the field and almost undamaged. He did an absolute classic
Unbelievable.
landing.
Unbelievable.
So again, for the folks over in our part of the world, this is yet another reason why we'd encourage everybody to use the legal radios as
Wonderful.
opposed to the ones that most of them use. But I'm actually phoning in for a favour today.
Well, got it. I'll tell you what. Do me a big favor, Murray, if you can. Hang on.
Break? Sure.
We've got a wee break coming up, and I'd love to do you a favor. So hold on. We'll be right back. This is David Jebb with Paraglider Radio. We'll be back after this brief intermission.
So in 1 hour of work, you earn your life easily? No.
I'm a commercial photographer.
Okay.
Slow motion, moving your hands in treacle. That's it.
Paraglider. Paraglider. Je les arme bien avec le changement.
Then from there, safety riser procedure, push into wind, going up, 3 under, down. No drag.
Okay.
Right, you hit the start button, as if to take a picture, it'll stop.
Take a picture.
It'll stop it if you just press once.
This.